if you want something bad enough and you're focused on it bad enough and you put in the work and you demonstrate to yourself you are that guy, everything else will take care of itself.
Yo!
Nerds.
Welcome to another episode of the Uncapped Network. Today we have Mark Shelley, co-owner of 519 Painters in London, Ontario. He is a monster entrepreneur and a master salesman. He sold 1.5 million in residential sales in the last 2 years. Join us as we delve into his journey by exploring the mindset that propels him to redefine the game. Get ready to be inspired by the relentless drive and the entrepreneurial brilliance of Mark Shelley. Brother, thank you so much for coming on. Bro. Let's go. How's your day going today, man?
It's going good. Fired up, boys. Can't say anything else. Yeah, just excited to be here, and thanks for the opportunity.
Well, yeah, you look like $1 million right now.
Right? Yeah. I should have probably gave you the dress code, what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But I saw Alfonso that day. Shout out Alfonso. And had to suit up a little bit. So here we are.
Of course, yo. But like, let's delve into it in the sense of like, for those who don't know you, listening to the podcast, you just want to give a brief background on who you are and like what you do.
Yeah. So I sell painting projects with 519 Painters. I'm the co-owner there. So that's the main gig from obviously what I do for work. Came from a background of nothing to do with sales at all. I was working at a factory during COVID. So that rush kind of brought me into there. It was kind of a bad job market coming out of university. And really just focused on self-development, personal development. Eventually had an opportunity to move in with Justin, a bunch of other entrepreneurs. And when I moved in with Justin, saw what he was doing with 519 Painters kind of off the jump and was able to jump in. Had a great opportunity to work with him and took full advantage of it. And from there, it's never looked back.
What were you doing for school prior?
So I was in business. I always say I was at school to play football and did business as a side hustle. So didn't really know what I wanted to do with it. Just kind of went because everyone else was going. And yeah, like I said, coming out of university, COVID was kind of a tough time. There's not really a lot of job opportunities. It was like everything was shut down. Like, I don't know if you remember 2020. So my uncle was working at Diversey, which is like a hand sanitizer plant.
Yeah.
So I got a job there. Was literally working on lines, like flipping big bags of hand sanitizer, and was just not really going anywhere. It was kind of a time in my life when I'd kind of realized I wasn't going to go pro football. That was my big dream. Going to university. Was a great high school player. At university, not so much. You kind of get pushed down, especially at Western, a good program there. So had to come to terms with the fact that I needed to find work and another kind of way to pursue a passion of doing something outside of sports. So really just delved deep into self-development. I moved out alone and kind of spent a lot of time reading, fasting, figuring out what I wanted to do. And then that prepared me for the opportunity when Justin was like, hey, starting a house, a bunch of guys that want to do business. And I had known him from childhood. We played football together. So shot him a DM in the lunchroom at Diversey and moved in there. And then, everything else is history. So.
Yeah, no, that's wild. Like you guys just lived a bunch of entrepreneurs just lived in one house. Like,
yeah. So it's on Oxford Street, 190 Oxford, we call it. And guy was doing window cleaning business. Another guy was doing, there were two guys doing painting. One guy was doing window cleaning, and then another guy was doing like some other entrepreneurial like sales job. And I was just working in a factory, so I was the one oddball that was like, "Oh, here's my 7 to 3 or 9 to 5, whatever."
Yeah.
And all these guys were just crushing it, making all this money, and I was like, "This is kind of full of shit." Like they're saying they're making all this money, they're probably not. I was kind of a bit skeptical, but then time over time, I got to see them in action, like what the work they were putting in, especially Justin, because Justin was like the guy. Yeah. So I would be up at like 5:30 to go to work, and he noticed that. He started getting up at 5:25, then I'd be 5:20. We were just competing in this subtle way, and it just created a lot of respect and admiration. And then he's like, why don't you just quit that job and just come work? And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. Painting isn't for me. And then he was like, dude, this is pretty lucrative. You can see kind of the money I'm going to make, and I want to bring you on and train you, and then eventually we'll run this thing together. And that's what happened. So yeah, the window cleaning businesses, painting businesses, and bunch of entrepreneurial guys. It was a crazy house.
How important was it to be surrounded by people like that?
It was everything. Like it was everything. But the thing I would say is like, you have to be ready for that, right? Like if you're not able to contribute to that kind of house, like if I was in the state I was in when I was done at Western, which was I was like 50 pounds heavier. I was like 260. I was drinking a lot every day, and I was kind of still living this college party life. So I needed that lull period to kind of just focus on myself. But as soon as I got there, that camaraderie and that competitive nature was everything to just becoming who I am today and still continuing to develop over time.
So it felt like football, but now in a business.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just the passion for life. And I would say this, like, painting is just a sandbox for anything. Like, you want to do art, you want to do music, whatever, but you need to be around guys that are crushing music, crushing art, so that you can put in the work necessary to get to where you want to go.
Yeah. When you say like after uni, you were kind of like in a dark spot, like what exactly were you doing to get yourself out of that?
So I think a lot of athletes can probably relate to, that slump where you kind of realize you're not going to go pro. You're not going to go NBA, you're not going to go NFL. And that was tough because for a long part of my life, like, I really genuinely wanted that and believed that was possible for myself.
And that was probably your identity too. Like
100%. Like, it was everything that I wanted. And NFL, even CFL, I believe I was going to go NFL when I was younger. Then I was like, okay, maybe CFL. And then you start to be around guys. It's like, you're just not as good or not as equipped as you need to be. And there was a lot of other things. I had a bunch of concussions and injuries as well. But it really is a big part of your identity, I think, for a lot of athletes. So it was like, what is next? And then for me, it was just removing myself from that bad environment. Not to say, college partying, there's a spot for that in life, but at a certain point, you got to realize, do I want to do this the rest of my life, or do I want to do other things? So I moved out alone. Luckily, was able to sublet a house that a guy was living in. So I had a full house for, $500 a month, and just me. And I was going to bring it in today, but I have this diary where it's like 100 days, and I was like, all these commitments. So no drinking, workout every day, run 1 mile in the morning, cold shower, and 1 meal a day for 100 days straight.
Jeez.
So it was like this militant discipline routine. Yeah, I did everything other than there was one I had every workout, every cold shower, hit every meal. There was one thing I think I messed up on, but I wrote it down and was accountable for it. But it was this huge discipline proof of concept to myself that I can be something beyond a football player and just attack life differently. And this is before I knew painting. So I was getting ready for the opportunity before I knew the opportunity was there.
Yeah.
And that was I look back at my life, I know I look back at my life in 10 years, and that was it. That 4-month period where I was at 246 Blue Forest Drive, and it was just everything to me.
And was there something that happened that made you create that plan, or was it just something that you knew I'm too long, I'm not really who I'm supposed to be?
Yeah, I think it's just you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. Everyone goes through ruts in life, right? You're up and you're down, but at a certain point you might be down too much. You're like, this isn't me. I can be better than this. And I was like, I need to change my environment to work on myself, and then I can re-attack and re-network, because I just didn't feel like I was at a point where I could be around guys that are operating at a high level. I was watching just on Instagram. I was watching guys that were doing things that were my age or younger or whatever. And it was like, I'm not there yet. I need to take myself out of this game. It was a perfect time during COVID too. Everything was closed, no bars. So it's let's just double down on myself. Mm-hmm. And I guess it was just kind of being in a rut, realizing I'm not going to make it in the first choice, I guess, my A goal.
Yeah.
And being realistic and saying, hey, let's just get ready for whatever life's going to throw at us.
When you went solo, was it because your support system wasn't there, or is it this a journey you had to take on your own?
Support system is what? Family, friends, that kind of thing?
Friends, everything. Did you feel like you had to isolate yourself because the people you were around weren't the right people to reach the next step?
Yeah, I was living with all football guys, good lads, range industry. We had a lot of fun there.
Yeah.
But again, it's only satisfying for so long. And then I knew the physical move would be all right, we're going to live here. Everything is on you now. You have no one to blame. You have no one to, point fingers at when you're not getting up at 6 a.m. and doing that 1 mile run in the morning. No one to blame at when it's burpee Wednesday, you're not doing your burpees or whatever the case. I had all these rules, all these disciplinary, militant rules that if you don't follow it, it's on you. Mm-hmm. So I was just in a big personal accountability phase. And I'd been through spurts of that, let's say throughout university. So it was just kind of coming into a bad phase at the end of it when I was kind of in the slump that I'm not going to go where I want to go.
Yeah.
So it was just diving into that part of me. And then the physical move where now you're isolated, it's all on you to go where you want to go.
Were there any mentors or people you were looking up to at that time?
Online, a lot of guys for sure. The gateway drug, I think, for a lot of people is Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that was my first thing. I'm like, I'm going to move alone, do real estate. I'm going to buy real estate, do all this investing stuff. And it's well, I have no money. So I was studying real estate over that whole period and multifamily and investing, which is so full circle because now we're back at Wealth Genius. But At that point in my life, obviously didn't have capital, didn't have a network. It probably wasn't a realistic venture. So that was kind of what I was focused on and looking towards. But it was more so just, again, like the whole being alone, being accountable, being very seldom about, where you spend your time, where you spend your energy was just the necessary thing for myself to propel. So
yeah. And like I know you weren't born in Canada, right? You were born in Ireland. So like when did you come here, and explain like that process? And like,
I saved come on. So born in Dublin, shout out Arlen.
Hey,
home of Conor McGregor, Dublin.
Cheers,
Dublin 9. He's from Dublin 12. So it's a big part of like my heritage, I'd say. So I moved to Canada when I was 7, and then moved to Amsterdam when I was 7. So lived in Amsterdam for a year. My dad's work was kind of moving around. He was with Deloitte, so it was an opportunity for him to kind of go to different countries and level up for his work. And then so Amsterdam to Canada to England, grade 3. So wherever that was, lived in England for a year. Right? It was a little bit push. You learned it. And then moved back to Canada full time, the grade 4, let's say. So I don't know what age that is in school, but
did you feel different? Like traveling from this country to this country, then landing in Canada, did you feel like an outsider?
Yeah, it was a little bit of an accent. Like it was a little bit obviously difficult to keep friends and make friends, I guess. So that was one kind of element of it. Obviously you're young, so it's not as impactful as being, 16, 17 when you're kind of in those coming of age years. So I still got here to eventually form the relationships that were important for me, but it was still significant. I'd say you got to see different cultures and a lot of memories from those countries for sure.
Yeah.
But European, especially Ireland. Ireland's my love. So
yeah. Have you been back?
Yeah, I went back maybe 7, 8 years ago, and got to like actually experience the country, like go out, Temple Bar, Copper Jacks. Some good spots over there.
Oh yeah.
And I got to kind of meet some extended family that I hadn't really had a chance to meet. So but definitely my vision board is having a place there, having like a castle in the country there. That's some stage,
castle
for sure.
What would be some things that you, I guess, like some positive things from moving country to country to country?
I guess putting yourself out of the comfort zone to, have to make new friend groups and meet people. So naturally, I'd say I'm more introverted in general, which might be like, oh, you don't seem like an introvert for sure. But that all comes from the door-to-door side that I've been doing for the last couple of years. So that was definitely out of my comfort zone for sure. Just having to meet new people. And again, I think the cultural experiences people underestimate, right? Like different cultures definitely do life very differently in terms of priorities, what their values are. There was different things. Remember in England, like we'd all go down to the pub on like Friday after like 6 o'clock, just to have dinner, like not even to drink, just to like be with the community and experience that. So it's a lot different I'm sure, in European culture as opposed to, African culture, Australian, all these different cultures.
Yeah. And how did you get into football? Was it just here in Canada when you were like younger, I guess you said? Because there's
football and football.
They don't rugby over here like they do over there. So rugby was my first love in England. So I played there. I was playing like 3 years up with my brother for Blackwell. We got a couple of pictures there. And then obviously when you come to Canada, it's not as big of a sport. So switched over to football. Actually, my first love at that time was swimming. So I was a really competitive swimmer.
Okay, Michael Phelps.
I was a lot leaner. I was like a little flute. I was like 160 pounds, and I was really good at swimming. So I was like nationally ranked, like top 5 in the country for swimming. And that was a lot of the, again, building blocks for like long hours, discipline, boring, shitty work that no one sees. Because swimming is a nails sport. It's a millisecond sport.
Yeah.
Right? Like your flip turns, your hand placement, like the way you approach the wall, the way you get off the block, like diving in the pool. There's so many different things.
Even like the hair on your skin, right? Like everything.
Everything.
Yeah, aerodynamic.
You're in that I didn't wear the Speedo. I had the jammers, so they called it the knee. I wasn't like that, but it was getting to that level where it becomes your life. Like you're not doing anything else instead of training twice a day, 6 days a week. So I basically saw that and was like, I don't want to go down this path at this point in my life. I was like, 14 years old. Let's do football, where at least there's some social interaction, some camaraderie. And again, football is a cooler kind of sport.
Yeah.
High school, you want to be cool.
Oh, yeah.
Jock,
Like,
it's the jock vibe,
you
right?
know,
Literally.
I don't think the swimmer in high school is getting get all the girls.
Yeah, not here.
Yeah, I switched over to football and definitely had a lot of success there.
So it seems like sports obviously was like a big part of your life, sorry. And it seems like obviously like the competitive nature of sports is what keeps people going, right? So like you brought that into business, right? And once you were in that house and once you were with Justin and he got you to work for him, like did you think you were going to be at the stage where you are right now? Because right now you're crushing it.
No. Yeah, I had no idea. But that's a really good point. It's like when you can see business or see sales specifically as a sport, as a actual game, a contact sport, people say it's physical. You got to make contacts, make sales. Everything changes because now I'm not working. Now every day I wake up and I'm playing ball with my guys.
Yeah.
I'm jumping on Zoom with my guys and we're playing ball. Like, let's go get some deals done. Like, it's that kind of energy that we have in our business that I think sets us apart from other businesses. And you can see the results that if you have a bunch of guys in a room that are riled up like a football change room.
Yeah.
And they're hitting those doors like they're about to go Friday Night Lights with all the girls coming down to watch, right?
Yeah.
It just hits differently. And you see that, the energy and the vibe that's kind of there every day. So I think that's our competitive advantage. It's like in business, you need to have something that no one else can do as good as you.
Yeah.
Right? An unfair advantage. And our unfair advantage is that I wake up every day and work 12, 14 hours, 7 days a week, and it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. You as a business owner, what are your core values then?
Integrity, professionalism, commitment. That's 519 Painters is founded on for sure. So break that down a little bit. Integrity to us just means being your word, showing up on time, communicating when, things change. So always just making sure you're in integrity. And that was drilled into us from I won't say the name of the company that ended up giving us a little bit of a lawsuit, but
water under the bridge.
But integrity for sure. So making sure that you actually are doing what you're saying you're going to do. If you're going to the gym at 6 a.m., go to the gym at 6 a.m. You're saying you're going to call the client at 5 o'clock, call them. So that's number one above everything, being and doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
Professionalism. So we saw in trades, there was a huge gap between the guys that show up on time, the guys that dress well and aren't smoking cigarette butts on front lawns, that kind of thing. And the guys that are just, the cheap guys that'll do the job and not really have the whole package of the experience for the client. So making sure that, our guys are uniform or very just friendly and warm and make the process just smooth from A to Z. So the guy that shows up at your door is friendly, speaks to you well. And the guy that calls you, same thing. The guy that does the estimate, same thing. And the painter, same thing. So it's the throughput of experience from the client's perspective. That's super professional and on point. And then commitment is in, if you got a deadline, we're going to meet your deadline. And that kind of ties back into integrity, just making sure that we're on our commitments and everything like that.
How long was that learning curve like for you? Like once you got into the business and then actually
learning.
Yeah. That's true. That's fair enough. But I mean, like, when was it when you were like, okay, like I'm in the right spot?
When I'm in the right spot, I'd say like the second I moved into the house and I saw Justin's work ethic, I knew I was in the right spot for sure. Mm-hmm. I didn't know I was going to work with him. I didn't know we'd be as close as we are now, but I knew he was going to be someone in my life for the rest of my life because we shared so much of the same core principles of respect, integrity, being your word. And he was just like an admirable guy, like a guy that you can get behind. And that kind of vision was like, brought me in. I was like, wow, like this is cool. Yeah, it's really cool. Like this is not like going to, a cushy 100K a year, executive job in business that maybe at the time I wanted to do. So once I saw that, I was on board. But I'd say getting into the flow of things, like that whole first year was just learn by fire. And I always say this to people that want to come out and join the door-to-door team or kind of get their feet wet in the sales space, let's say. I learned more in door-to-door, and I mean this like deeply, in the first month, maybe 2 months, than I learned in my whole university degree easily. And it's not even close. Right? Like you go out every day for 4 hours. We were knocking 5-6 days a week. You're talking to maybe 100, 200 people a day. Like that's a lot of face-to-face interactions with strangers that don't know you, that you're trying to persuade them to sell a service that they maybe don't need. Right? So it's like so much of an instant feedback loop where they're telling you no, and you're like, okay, sure, but what about this? Or like, okay, fine, but maybe I'll check in with you later down the road. You got to get their information and then check in with them. Yeah. So that whole learning process is what I attribute so much of the confidence I feel I now have and kind of the professionalism and the way I carry myself is from having all these terrible interactions where people are like, I'm stuttering my words, I remember the pitch. And that whole space of door to door is just like the biggest catalyst for personal development you could ever have beyond any boot camp, university degree, anything. It's just go door to door, bang doors and learn.
And so many businesses sleep on that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of businesses think you got to do like ads online or you got to just like, you know, post an Instagram of all your work. But like you guys are in the trenches talking to people.
Trenches.
Yeah.
In the trenches.
And that's
In
like
the mud.
in the mud. Yeah. But
the
that's like
mud,
an old
right?
school tactic quote. Like, you know what I mean? Like people think, but you guys like are leading with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it really speaks to the grassroots nature of like what we wanted to do. And it's like, it doesn't matter if it's painting, doesn't matter if it's lawn care, roofing, solar, like there's so many of these different trade businesses that you could do, but how do you do it? How do you start? You go and talk to people you don't know and try and sell them a service.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you feel like a leader? Like, do you feel like you'd be the leader you are now? Because from football to where you're at, and now you took on everything.
Yeah.
Not knowing you were going to be in this position, did you feel like this is what was meant for you?
I've always had a lot of self-confidence, I'd say, even if I was an introverted guy. Like my mom and my dad definitely instilled, and my brother especially, instilled a lot of like self-confidence. I think being a younger child too helps with that because my brother was always there to help me like catch a football pass over my shoulder and like drill it. So I was always confident that I would succeed in some vehicle. I just had no idea what the vehicle would be. So when I started with Justin, I was super non-confident, even though I was coming out of a good phase of my life. It was just like a totally different whirlwind to me. I don't know anything about painting. I don't know anything about sales. I don't know how to talk to people at the door. Like I don't know anything. So that was just like total paradigm shift for me, I guess. But once it got going and once I had, you know, had that consistency, and I think this is another Hormozy concept he talks about a lot, is just like developing that evidence, and that when you look back on it, it's like no one can doubt that I did this work. Like we were going in fucking snowstorms.
Yeah.
Genuinely like piles of snow and pushing through that. No paved driveways. I can't feel my feet. And it's just like, I'll persist until I succeed, like just going like a banshee. And that quote comes from a book, The Greatest Salesman in the World. I don't know if Justin's talked to you about this at all, but it's like almost our mantra. Have you guys read that book?
No, I haven't. No.
So it's this book that is supposed to be read like a chapter at a time. You read one chapter every day for a year. I think there's 12 chapters in the book.
Okay.
And the third chapter is called I'll Persist Until I Succeed. And it starts out, in the Orient, young bulls are tested for the fight arena in a certain manner. I can recite this whole chapter.
I love that.
And it was just like something that like jumped out at me like nothing else has ever gripped me before. It's just basically about just persist, and everything else will take care of itself. Doesn't matter what you're doing, what you're working towards. You have that persistence, that mindset, that itch, like it'll get sorted out. So that kind of mentality tied into it. And yeah, it's just
how long were you knocking on doors until you got first sale?
Day one.
No. Because Justin was like, you're going to knock on doors and not even look at the sales side. Like you're going to master this and then we'll unlock this. So the way it was set up was good. And that's the same way we do it for our sales guys. We always promote from internally. So you got to put in a couple months of work. Shout out Vitz and Alex for doing that work when we were gone. That you come into our business, you're going to knock doors. Like that's it. You're not going to sell. You're going to knock doors, talk to people, generate leads, earn your stripes, and then we'll teach you how to sell. Because again, that marketing, or door-to-door, we call it marketing, vehicle is just a great sandbox for practicing your communication skills. How do you influence people? How do you persuade them? That's what sales is. It's a game of taking someone's belief and breaking it or changing it slightly, opening up the door, and then making yourself home and getting into, you know, the ultimate place you want to be selling.
Yeah. It's like a psychological game, literally.
Totally.
Like you against the other person.
Yeah. It's a lot of different elements, right? Like mirroring's huge, right? The way someone's speaking, or you're talking to an older lady, you want to be that schoolboy friendly. Of course, we're just the local guys in the neighborhood. Or is it an A-type professional? We do the 5-year warranty. We have the WSIB. We have the professional services. Like all these different kind of ways you can play. And you have to be the shapeshifter, the guy that bends water. You got to be the airbender.
Yeah, you have to dance the dance. Like, and that's super important. Like, right, like feeding off other people's energy.
Yeah.
So, what was like? How long was the first sale then? Like, was it like a couple months and then?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, probably 2 full months of just banging doors, and then eventually it was like, all right. I still remember my first sale. If Jeff on Colborne, you're watching this, you're my guy. So basically, we pulled up with this estimate, and I was doing ride-alongs with Justin. So I'd ride along to the sale, he'd do it, and I just watch him. I wouldn't say a word, fly on the wall. And we pull up at this estimate. We go through the whole estimate with the guy. I was watching Justin do it. And then we're in the car writing up the quote, as we do. We usually go in, look at it, come to the car. And then Justin's like, all right, you're going to sell this one. I was like, what? What do you mean I'm going to sell this one? So so he hands me the contract. I'm like literally shaking.
Yeah.
So nervous. Like the first time you sell something is just different. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And I walked in, it was like $867, I want to say, something like that. And I walked in, I was like going through the whole process that I watched him do. We're going to do the TSB clean and the warranty's 3 years. And the price would be $1,000 in this, but today it's $967.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, yeah, no worries. That sounds good.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't even know to do the deposit, the taxes, anything.
It was too easy.
Yeah. And it was just like such a good, I always think about this too. It's like, where would I be now if that first sale went bad?
Yeah.
It's like the momentum. And I think Justin knew this. He was probably a lay down sale. He probably had seen that this guy's probably going to buy regardless. So it's a great first one for me to do.
Of course, yeah.
At the time, I didn't know that. I was like, he's probably not going to buy all these beliefs.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, that's so expensive.
Yeah.
Like $900 for railing. I would never pay that. I don't have that money. But that's the other thing about sales too, is you got to realize if you're not selling to yourself, like you're selling to someone who has that and who wants it done the best and who wants the 5-year warranty, who wants the professional guys. So like the difference between 30%, 40% of it contract value isn't as significant, right? Like if this is your forever home, you're going to spend 10 grand, like what's 13 grand?
Yeah.
What's 14 grand? If it's going to last 5 years, it's done professionally and the service is excellent. They show up on time. Everything looks great. People are willing to spend more for a better service. So that was a big start of a series of breaking beliefs that really was everything to me. Now I look at sales and money just totally different because it's not necessarily me. It's what this client needs and what's best for them. So
Yeah.
Me too. I remember we were fortunate enough to see these guys actually act out at the event.
Oh, true.
Like
Yeah.
how seamless it came to you,
Mhm.
right?
yeah.
Now that you see yourself doing that, when you get someone who doesn't know how to do it, what's the first thing you're telling them to encourage them?
I guess there's some good questions, man. Wow. So that's another thing I'm still learning, right? So as we scale and as we grow, it's like, how can we have a more systematic process of getting someone from A to Z? Like obviously when Justin was training me, it's like ride along, we'll figure this out, boom.
Yeah.
Then we bring on a couple guys last year. It's like me doing that to them. But now I'm trying to get it like, this is what we do day 1, this is day 2, until the point where they're pretty ready. And obviously everyone's going to be a little bit different. You're going to have to cater things. But I think the first thing in regards to sales in general, like whatever you're selling, is just conviction. So really believing in what you do on the back end. So I wouldn't be able to do what I did or I do if I didn't believe that we actually offer really good service. So for me, if I go in and I'm talking to a 75-year-old lady, she's been in a home forever, and she's like, this price is really expensive. If I believe like we're charging too much, I wouldn't be able to sell to her. But because I believe that she needs this done from us, because if I don't sell to her, I leave it open to some scammer to come in behind me, some shitty guy, some guy that's not going to do the work, not going to scrape this office properly, and rip her off.
Yeah.
So I have an obligation to sell to her.
Yeah.
Like it's my duty to sell her and get her in. So I sell and I speak with that conviction because I really believe that, like genuinely. So that's the first thing people got to believe is conviction. Then you can go into obviously the repetition game. I think there's a myth in sales that, not a myth, I think it's true. It's a skill game, right? Like you have to get good at sales to sell. But the caveat to that is that you need the repetitions and the volume to get the skill. So you can say it's a skill game, but you need to sell 1,000 accounts. You need to knock 10,000 doors to get the conversational skill to be able to actually influence, persuade. So conviction, then a fuck ton of volume. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Fuck ton of volume.
We love it.
Bang doors, go crazy.
Yeah.
And then work on the tactics and the nuance and the tonality and the pacing and the cadence and all these different things. So
Yeah. It's crazy because like I feel like so many people think it's easier than that. Like, oh, I'm gonna start a business. Let me start door knocking. They try it for a week or 2, and then they get discouraged, and then they kind of stop. But like you're saying 10,000 doors, like to like really learn a skill to sell, which is wild. Like it's repetition, and it's all like pushing it. Is it because like I guess like Justin made you believe in that vision?
Yeah.
That it's possible.
Justin's a sicko, man.
Oh, yeah.
He's different.
Yeah. Shout out to Justin.
Shout out to you one time. But yeah, he's sick. He's a sick puppy. in the best possible way.
Yeah.
So, and again, it's something I share as well. It's like we have these unreasonable personal beliefs and beliefs about what we can accomplish. I don't know where that comes from. I think it's because we feed into each other. And I look at them as like, we're gonna be millionaires, we're gonna be billionaires, we're gonna be so well off, we're gonna be so successful, the best network, have the dream lives we want. And like we're pushing each other every day to get that. And that's really the catalyst. Like, because it's one thing if it's you, and it's another thing if it's you, but it's like us together, if we're both putting in 100, we're gonna get 500 out of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like we're not getting 2 because there's the multiplier effect.
Yep.
So it's like we're getting this crazy like spin off of that. And we pull in another guy like Joe, who's my guy I grew up with.
Yep.
He's another guy built like us. So then it's 7 million.
Yeah.
We bring in Isaac, bring in Matt, bring in George, bring in all the guys, Alex.
$1 billion.
And everyone just together in this hunt and this pursuit. And again, it feels like a sports locker room. Who are we gonna go at this weekend? What neighborhood are we gonna target? And again, on the back end of it, we're doing good work. We're fulfilling all what we're doing, so we feel good about doing it. Like my favorite thing to do when we're door to door is going like, let's go talk to Allison. I was out last night in Old North over here, and I was like, let's go talk to some of these clients just to show the guys like these people love us. These people are grateful for what we do, and that too is super rewarding as well. Just to see the back end that we actually fulfill in the work we do, and everyone's happy, because that's again the most important thing. One thing to sell a bunch of work, but if it doesn't mean anything and people give you a bad reputation, like what's the point, right?
Yeah.
So,
Earlier you were saying that you work like 14, 15-hour days, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you ever burn out? How do you avoid burning out when you're working that much?
So I would say it's definitely a game of seasons. Like, so when we're in work mode, sprint mode, it's go and blindfold everything else, which is going to be now until, let's say, October, November. We'll start tapering off. December, we'll really take some time off. And we treat ourselves. Like we set these big, audacious, crazy goals. We crush it throughout the year. And then, like, for example, I went to Colombia for 2 weeks by myself. Then I met up with Justin. We had a couple days in Colombia. And then we went over to Costa Rica, went to a 5-day music festival, had the best time of our lives. Like, so we definitely play both sides of it. We like to have fun as well. But when we're in a certain mode, it's go time. Yeah. And we're not messing with that. Like we take it very seriously. The difficulty is, obviously, we're all friends. Obviously, we all might get tempted and want to go, down to Barney's on a 7 p.m. on a nice summer night for sure. So it's like with moderation. Like if I know I need some time off or I need to release tonight, blow off some steam, I'll do that. But it's definitely knowing yourself for sure. And for me, again, the unfair advantage is I work 14 hours, but it feels like I work 0.
Yeah.
Because I'm on Zoom with my guys.
Yeah.
So
Passion. Yeah. What happens when you guys don't fulfill your goals?
We're waiting to see what happens. we haven't missed yet. So
let's go.
That's good though.
No, that's a good point.
Is that a fear at all? Like
huge
fear that you guys don't live up to it because you guys are always like talking. You guys are like, okay, we got this. Yeah. So what happens when you guys don't do it?
Yeah, it's massive fear. Because again, if you think about before, my ego was all tied up in sports and being, this athlete. Now my ego is all probably tied up in how good this business does. Yeah. It's a great question. Like, what happens when you don't hit your goals? And again, we've doubled every year over year for 3 years. Now we're trying to double off a $2 million business. So we're trying to add $2 million in revenue, which is just nuts. Like, crazy. And there's a good chance we don't do it. Like,
did you think that some people, you say $100, they think it's a lot. Some people $1,000 is a lot. $1 million sounds like a lot, right? So then the next is $1 billion, right? Like, did you know it was gonna grow this big or get this far? Your phone, buddy.
DND.
Yeah, this guy.
DND.
The one who told us to put the phones on do not disturb. All right. So earlier you mentioned that you work, 12 to 14 hours a day. How do you avoid burnout working that much?
Yeah. It's just a balance game for sure. So knowing yourself and when you actually do need the time off, giving yourself that space to do it. The other side of it as well is doing stuff outside of work on a weekly basis. Like obviously I work a ton. Like that's my main thing and I really love doing that. But also chess is a big thing.
Yeah.
I play chess every day.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're dangerous then.
Yeah, I'm nice with it.
I love that.
I got to get you.
Are you ranked? Yeah. Are you ranked on chess.com?
Of course.
Okay, so let's hear the ranking.
1400-ish. Okay. So I have a burner, which I have like, I don't know how many games played, but then I have like a sniper account when I'm trying to play serious. That one's at 1700. I don't think I'm actually 1700.
Yeah.
that's like a good rating. But when I'm on, like I'd say somewhere between 1,300 and 1,500 conservatively.
What got you into chess? Like how long have you been playing chess?
I'm playing just forever. Like high school I was playing chess, university I was playing chess. It's always just been I don't know, just a place for me to think and have, it's almost like a meditation for me. I have a difficult time just sitting there and meditating, but yoga, I like yoga as well. Things where there's an active component to it. Like with chess, you're playing a game, but you're not thinking about anything else. So it's an active meditation. Yoga, you're moving. So that's the focus. Like you're not just sitting there and trying to be still. So things like that, or like a walk with a podcast is almost like a meditation to me.
Yeah.
So just things where you can give your brain like a mental break. And obviously chess is a very cognitive game. But I've always liked that for that reason. And then the other element too, I was just in Medellin and everyone speaks Spanish there. And I walk into a coffee shop, they have a chess table. I don't know anything about this guy.
Sick.
I don't know anything about his life, but we talk over a game of chess.
Yeah. That's sick. That's special. That's crazy.
It's so cool. It's like the most fundamental level of communication is like, if I can speak to you, at least I can interact with you in that way. And I've always found that fascinating. Like fascinating about the game of chess. As well, like I can go on and on about chess for sure. Like the permutations of it, like after 3 moves, there's like a billion different combinations of board positions. 4 is like almost unfathomable. It's like everything about it.
It's like war, but like away from the football field, right?
Yeah. Totally.
Damn, you're gonna crush me in chess. No, after hearing this,
after hearing his ranking, it's I wouldn't.
Yeah, what do you rank?
No, I'm so bad. Like I think no, because even too, I've been doing it on my phone. Finally hit 700. But my thing is, I usually do it while I'm at work.
Yeah, the big thing is you do the account you have at work, but when have like one when you're like sitting down, like sober minded, like ready to go, and you'll rank quick.
But yo, like considering how busy you are and like, you know, all like the there's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of hours put into like, you know, like generating like building this business. What's your why? Like what keeps you going?
Wow. That's a good question, man. I'd say I always like think of whys of like 7th level whys, like why it's like I want to achieve this goal, but then like why that? Because I want to prove to everyone who doubted me this, and like why that? Because I want my family to be in position that. So like the deepest level for me would probably be looking at my future son in the eyes and saying like, this is the example I want you to lead your life. And then the secondary component to that would be like the dark side, being like spitting on everyone who's like, you're not going to be that guy. You're not him. Like, and again, it's even if people aren't saying they're not, whatever. It's having that like, that dark side, I think is super important. Having that kill switch. I call it like it's go time. And I always like to tap into that side as well. Because I think it's equally a fuel catalyst and a driver for sure.
Yeah. That's very interesting when you said it's like, I want to prove to my future kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that just goes really deep in a sense of like, you know, being a man at the end of the day, like being a man is being an example for like future, right? And like other men like around you. Right. So I think nowadays, especially, it's super important to play that manly role, especially in this society.
Oh, man. You know that's why I wear the mustache. It's like make men masculine again.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. And it's, you know, I don't want to talk too much about politics and all these stuff, but like genuinely my perspective is that there's for sure an attack on the family unit, the old way of masculinity in a way that if you're a guy and you believe in those things in today, like you have to stand up for that a little bit at least and put your neck out. Because, and that's legitimately, I've had a mustache for the last 7-8 years because I've seen this trend developing.
Wow.
I was part of a men's movement with Justin too before the Sovereign Man movement, which is all about the coolest thing ever. Like we would just meet as men and it would be like me, Justin, Moshe, who was like this 50-year-old lawyer guy. And there was like a bunch of other guys who were just like random dudes. Yeah. And we just like talk about our problems, network, no business perspective, no nothing, just being men together. And like, how can we be better men? And like, that's the most pure form to me of like masculinity, tradition, having accountability. And there's so much of a lack of that today. And I think that's like, when you ask like, what's your why? It's like being that pure masculine role model for like a son or a community or a group of men, whatever it is, so that they can look at that and be like, that is ideal masculinity. It's not toxic. It's not over the top. It's just what men should be in a pure functioning society.
Did you have that?
Do I have that?
Yeah, did you have that from your father figure?
Yeah, my dad was a hardworking dude. Definitely pursued work to a level where he's willing to move countries, willing to make sacrifices for his work, which I respect deeply. And yeah, he's been, at a high level operating, doing his thing. So definitely get a lot of drive from him for sure as well.
Yeah. What would you say is like your goals like this year or the next couple of years? Like where's somewhere you want to strive to?
Yeah. So like I have tunnel vision on this year and like this week and like tomorrow. Like that's how you win. Like it's like tomorrow, what am I doing? It's like I can always zoom out and look at the pool I want to slide into for my bed in 10 years that I see on the back. But it's like always just focusing on today and the next weeks. Obviously the biggest burning desire is to do 4 million this year. So we did 400K, 1 mil, 2 mil. Now it's 4 time.
Yeah.
It's go time. So it's doubling year over year for 4 years. And then in the background, I've been cooking up a bunch of these raw videos and sales calls and all these meetings and the trials and tribulations that we didn't get to document the first couple of years because we were so in the thick. That this year I'd love to do 4 million and put out the video. It's like 400K to 4 million in 4 years.
Jeez.
And that, like, I get goosebumps when I say that because it's like it's so ingrained and it's so primal to me. It's like I just need it. Like I want it so bad. I want more than I want to breathe. Like it's
and it seems like it's not even like the money. It seems like it's just like the competitive nature of who you are.
Emotion.
You know what I mean?
Nothing to do with money. Yeah, that's a great point. Because materialistically, like I'm not a car guy, not a house guy. I like watches.
Yeah, let's go.
That's literally the only like trickling of a materialistic effect. It's just the competition and the proof of concept. Like we're guys that came from decent upper middle class upbringings for sure. Like we're not coming from nothing, but like ourselves knocking doors, getting appointments, closing deals, fulfilling the deals, and then getting recurring revenue from the referrals and more door knocking. Like it's such a pure grassroots starting base that it's like, if we just build this to like 100 million, it's like, not about the money. Just like, you can do that in this, you can do that in this. It's like, whatever. Like it's again, like that athlete mentality, that sports mentality, like let's go win a Super Bowl.
When you tell people your dreams and like what you've been doing, do people believe you?
Yeah, I think they do. I think the people that are close to me do because I say it with a lot of conviction. Like I have no doubt I'm going where I'm going to go. Like it might take a couple of years, might take 5, but like I'm going. Like, and I believe, like, it's like, I know, it's not like I believe it, like I know it. And again, that's a belief. Maybe it's delusional, maybe it's ego, whatever, but who cares? Like, it's what I need to propel myself to where I want to go. So I'll speak it out loud. I'll say it right now. Like, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a multimillionaire for sure. Justin will be as well. The guys will be as well. Like, the community we have will propel us forward as long as we take care of the little things and stay in the mud and don't get too out of ourselves, of course. But like, if you want something bad enough and you're focused on it bad enough and you put in the work and you demonstrate to yourself you are that guy, everything else will take care of itself.
Is there anything that's throwing you off track?
Yeah, like for sure. There's different struggles, and like every year we've had been this close to hitting zero, and that's the other side to it. People don't see, right? Like my own personal, things that I have to go through with, maybe it's like partying too much or like slacking off or lacking discipline. That happens a ton. And I think it comes in waves. You'll be in a season of, being on your stuff, going to the gym in the morning, and then you'll be in a season of not. And it's about how do you get back to that baseline? And then the other side of it too is like the business and like, how's the business doing? So obviously, we had that lawsuit. We had lots of personal struggles between me and Justin, like as men, like we're super close. We fight like cats and dogs. Like it's not pretty. Like if people saw the fights and the places we've been to, it's like, how do you come back from that? And again, it's this underlying fundamental, unreasonable belief that we will just figure it out. So it's definitely not without struggle though.
Seems like there's a lot of chaos. And I remember last time when I was talking to you, you were telling me about a silent retreat that you signed up for in Colombia, right? Like, I guess, what was the mentality to sign up for something like that?
Again, like the duality of life. So I know like I'm a very I come across maybe like very like go, this, but like I definitely have another side, which is like on the beach, relax, music, this. So I always try and act aggressively in that way as well. so that I can counterbalance kind of the, aggressive nature or go nature of myself.
Yeah.
So that was just a plan to just take some time and just deload and de-stress. And that's a lot of the times what these vacations are as well. 2 years ago, we went to Thailand, did a full backpacking journey, just kind of, you get a lot of perspective on yourself and like what's really important in life. Because I don't want to get lost in money. I don't want to get lost in this character. And I really love this character and this way I'm going for sure. But like, you're a human being as well, right? Like you have family, you have, love interests, all these different factors. So that just gives you the perspective to remember you're on a spinning rock in the middle of nowhere. And
That
sitting in a room with a camera.
that trips me out, man.
Right? Like, why are we here? You could go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the other side for sure.
Yeah.
And would you say that like you as a little kid, would that little kid be proud of the man you are today?
I hope so. Yeah. I think if he was watching the game tape, he'd say it's been a spooky one for sure. Because again, like outside of the last couple of years, like there's been other like personal struggles you deal with for sure. Like anyone does.
Yeah.
And it's cool to be here now and be able to speak and be like, it seems like it's going well for sure. Like everything looks great, but I know like what's coming up is going to be more challenges and more trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
And that was the big like reflecting moment on last year. Like I was sitting in Colombia and I was like, just damn, like it's been a hell of a ride. Like if people saw the other side of it, like they wouldn't sign up for it.
Yeah.
Like unless you're sick, like unless you're
And what's that other side?
what is the other side?
Yeah, it's sickos.
Getting sued for $500,000, having a business that you buy that you thought was worth 40 be worth nothing, having 3 vehicles stolen, having employees quit on the site and you have to go and paint it yourself, drive an hour out of the way, having people fall off ladders, breaking glass, scratching glass. Like I could go on and on. Like it's a rabbit hole of problems. But like you get paid to solve problems.
Yeah.
At the highest level.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you're only 25?
26.
26. But
Monster.
Don't let the gray hair fool you.
No.
Dude, George Clooney over there.
No, but I love that, bro. And you rock it. Do you think that helps you in any advantage? Because like people probably think you're
you know what it does?
older.
It makes people think I'm older than I am.
Yeah.
So I don't dye my hair. I've been gray since I was 18 years old. So
Really?
yeah.
Looks fucking
Yeah,
good on
because
you,
even
though.
I remember like we had talked about it the one
Yeah.
and you're like,
Every night I go out with someone I don't know, they're like, you dye your hair. You put some hair in like,
man, but you rock it so well. And even too, it's like you kind of take that integrity and you kind of like whatever, I guess those punches.
Yeah.
But you rock it.
you are who you are, man. Like I'm me. Like I'm not perfect at all. Like I try and do my best for sure, but I'm a weird guy and I got gray hair and I got a big mustache. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Like, it is what it is. So the mustache I dyed. My mustache is black. But
Yeah. Is it your identity now?
what's that?
Is it your identity?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So shout out James. He cut my hair before this on an emergency, but the first time he cut my hair, he went and I was like, I just want to shave my beard off. And he just went for my mustache to cut it.
Yeah.
And I literally had like a panic attack.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, cut my mustache. Like, who am I?
Yeah.
So yeah, gotta get the mustache.
But bro, it's crazy, bro. Like you're 26 and you're doing like so well for yourself. And like I know for you in your mind, it's not like
No.
well right now. You know what I mean? Like you have so much more goals ahead of you that you're gonna crush.
Yeah.
But it's so amazing to talk to you. Like I'm 28, so it's not like we're much older in difference. But it's like the fact that you're able to tie down to something and make it so successful at such a young age, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think the community we have, I think what you guys are doing, I think what Sammy's doing, I think what Alfonso, like all these guys that are in our network now that like I could call you and be like, hey, like I have this thing I'm going through. I need help with this idea.
Yeah.
It's the network. Like it really is the network. Like if you belong in the network will take care of you.
Yeah.
So it's like for anyone watching this, it doesn't feel like they're there. It's like you get yourself good first and then you reach out to the network and it's like, now I can add value to you. Because I'm sure like we're going to talk about after the production side of this stuff, right? So if you have something to offer, it's like everything is kind of open to you because then you can contribute. So I think that's the big thing. Once you're ready, find the people, and especially in London, like we got a great thing going for sure.
Oh yeah.
We're just getting started.
We're about to take over.
We're just cooking out.
Literally, bro. That's the thing. You hear about Toronto all the time, but no, it's happening here.
Yeah. On a low level too. Like we're not millionaires yet, but like I'm so confident like we will be just because of who we have around us and where we're going and the passion each player plays with. Like we're painting, but we love painting. You guys are probably love it. And then, the roofing and the insurance, the solar, like all these different elements just come into play.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter what you do. As long as you find genuine joy in it, you love it, you put the work in.
Yeah. It's almost like humans, like, you know how they always say we're very tribal and we work in packs? It's when you get the good pack going, where everyone's doing their own
Yeah.
skills. That's why the packs are so strong.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I feel now, what we're building in London.
Yeah. What would be your advice to people who want to get into the network, like some young individuals who want to jump in?
Yeah, great point. Take care of yourself first, right? Go to the gym, eat healthy, go to bed on time. I always have this thing when you're starting to change. I always like to anchor in habits of abstinence rather than action. So anchor into a habit that you're not doing something, right? So you got to bias your own laziness to get yourself the momentum in order to kind of gain trust with yourself and evidence. So for example, when I was moving into the house on Blue Forest alone, it was just like, don't drink alcohol because you're going to bias your laziness. Like if you don't go out, you're not going to drink. You don't go to the LCBO, you're not going to drink. So gain trust with yourself by not doing something. Don't watch porn. Don't, go to the bar. Yeah, don't eat fast food, like cook everything at home. Like all those things you can do first to gain momentum. From there, pick one thing that you're going to do every day, whether it's the gym, whether it's meditating, go for a run, and then do that for a month. And then from there, pick another one and just keep habit stacking, right? And then James Clear, you read Atomic Habits?
No,
I have.
So that idea of like, take the habit. So if you want to go to the gym every day, like go do 10 push-ups every day. Do that for 3 weeks and then go to the gym every day. Because you got to prove to yourself you're the type of guy that does 10 push-ups every day before you're the type of guy that goes to the gym every day. All right. So abstinence first, bias your laziness, do something easy. Like just don't do this thing that you know isn't good for you. Then act and then stack on act.
Yeah.
And then from there, you just have this whole plethora of evidence. I don't drink. I do 10 push-ups every day. And now I'm starting to read 10 pages a day. And now you're the type of guy that actually belongs in these circles. So I'm always about practical, like actionable advice. Like that's something you do tomorrow and start changing your life instantly.
It's wild how like you have to negotiate with yourself.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people don't think about it like that. And like you're like probably the toughest person to negotiate with is yourself.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all those little small pleasure things you want to do. You want to go to the bar, you want to smoke with the boys, you want to do whatever, sleep in. And it's like that's what's slowing you down at the end.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like everyone knows what they got to do.
Yeah.
I really believe, like, you got to do.
It's the hardest
I know
part.
what I got to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like,
The conscience is a real thing.
yeah. Like there's no secret, right? Like the secret is like, just be honest with yourself and transparent. Don't lie to yourself.
Yeah.
You can lie to me. You can lie to your mom. Don't lie to yourself.
You can't.
Yeah. That's a dark rabbit hole you go down. Write things down. Use a journal. My favorite thing I've ever done is I started journaling when I was like second, third year university. And like, I go through my first concussion and then this breakup with a girl and then my second concussion and then not making the roster and then making the roster, winning a Vanier Cup. And then it transitioned into the sales, this beautiful, like triumphal story. And I'm like, because I'm not confident I'll remember everything in my life when I'm 50. I've been knocked in the head a lot of times. But then I have this third party objective state of mind that I wrote on paper. That it's so cool. I'm like, damn, I can just look at that and like, that's actually what I thought that day.
Yeah.
So I definitely think people should do that. And now I'm starting to get in like the content space, like post just like random videos and clips and this kind of thing. So this will be like a checkpoint for like my 26-year-old self. Like, where was your head at? Oh, cool. I'm 32. I totally disagree with that now. I'm here.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful because it's objective and it's not subject to memory.
So are you journaling like every day? Like, is that
Not every day. No, for sure. I'm not on that. Again, like I don't hold myself to that standard. So I'm like, if I'm doing this 100%. I write it on a piece of paper. I sign it. That's the biggest thing I'll do. I'll write it out and then sign it. And then right. And it's like when you do that, then it's like concrete. Right. If I do anything else, I'm like, I'm saying I'm gonna do this. It's fluff.
Yeah.
I still might do it, but then I'll do it for a bit, and then it's like sign, boom, gym every morning or gym 4 times a week between these hours, like very, very highly specific. And then it's like black and white. You did or you didn't, and you also have to have the punishment behind it.
Yeah.
So I have to run a marathon. Last year,
Have you done one?
I've never run a marathon.
You can do it easy, bro.
No, I'm gonna die.
Man,
but I'm putting this out there to hold myself accountable. I will run a marathon this year.
So you're gonna run a full marathon this year, you said? And is that a result of a punishment?
Yeah. I signed a piece of paper with Joe for sure, and I voiced it to Justin. I was like, this is my commitment. Whenever you're making a commitment to, if it's not with the guy, like tell him like, hey, I'm gonna do this. And if I don't, I'm gonna do this as a result of not doing it.
Yeah.
So I think it was maybe January to April, something like that, not drinking, which is pretty common for us in our preseason. It's a big time of year to go.
Yeah.
Got to like day 94. I had a crazy thing happen to myself. And again, I turned to alcohol as a coping mechanism to deal with it. and drank. I was at a hotel bar alone drinking. That's the scenario. So it was something going on.
Yeah.
But I'm just putting that out there because I still have to fulfill on that to restore my integrity. So I still feel like I'm out of integrity for that thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you say you're going to do something, write it on paper, sign it, date it, and be specific as hell. So you can't say, well, I didn't really say that. Like, it was like, no alcohol, drugs, this, boom, boom, boom. And between these dates, and if I don't do it, I'm going to run a full marathon. So it's like, I just have to do that.
I'll tell you, this guy made me run a half
marathon though. So like you're running a full one, 42 kilometers, right?
I'm gonna give my best.
I'm gonna do it. I guarantee
I'll finish it for sure.
Everyone counted me out, telling me you'll never do that, because I never really showcased that I would do something like that, nor did I ever want to. I always said, no, I'm not a runner. This is not my shit. Blah 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 blah. Made every excuse why I couldn't do it. Yeah. When I ran that shit wasn't that hard. Yeah. All it really was is just willpower and honestly surrounding yourself around dogs. If you see a dog running in front of you, you're probably gonna run after that dog. Yeah. So you just gotta kind of build that like mental thing.
So you train for it though?
Barely though. Yeah. Honestly, the worst training ever. Like,
I might run it next week. I might just go and be like,
"You're running 1 week?"
I was like, "What?"
I was gonna say you're wild, bro. But you're gonna run it in London?
Soon,
is that what you're thinking?
I'm just gonna go one day and just do it. Like,
do the Springbank one.
Do the it's called that damn hill. I think it's in September.
It's a hill.
Yeah. Well, it's in Springbank, so it's like a small little hill and then back.
We can even do it together.
Okay,
we've done it.
Pencil it in. We'll do it together.
Yeah, we're gonna run a marathon.
I guess so.
Are we signing and dating?
Let's go then. Let's go. We'll join.
I guess so. Yeah, we'll do it.
Fucking join you.
We'll do it. 100%.
Holy shit!
All right, hold the boys accountable.
You're a crazy guy, huh?
I don't care, yo. We can do anything we put our minds to. That's the reality. Of it. That's when you put yourself in rooms of people like this. Like, it took him to convince me that I could do it. Now I'm with other people where I'm like, it's not small. It's not something that I can't do. It's more, I'm telling myself I can't. Yeah. So now it's like we're doing this, and we also have Tough Mudder that we're gonna be doing.
I'm not that too.
So we got a big squad.
It's like everything's figure outable, man.
Yeah,
everything's figure outable.
Just try, right?
Bro, this is fucking rowdy what just happened here.
Let's go!
Like, bro, like, do you understand, Coca, what you just like committed to here?
Honestly, I did not, but I'm not scared of it. Yeah, right? It's like the fear would have been like, I can't do it. I know I can fucking do it. That's not the problem.
Bro, we'll rally up some lads. We'll have like Uncapped 519.
Was gonna be down.
519 Painters Uncapped collab. We'll make some t-shirts and we'll fucking do a
it's the next event. It's the next event then.
Yeah.
Next event. Let's do it.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like, I don't know how hard a marathon is, but it's like, I'm willing to try. I'm willing to go there. I'm willing to go in that mud and see what that's like. Yeah. Because
do you think it's harder than anything else you've done in your life?
The marathon? No, fuck no.
Yeah. So that's all you need to say.
No.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
Well, maybe it will be, but I'll figure that out on that day.
But it's that mindset though. Like, people don't have that. You know, like, you want to put a big challenge in front of your head, and like all of us right here, like, hey, fuck it, let's do it. It's confident. We'll do it. But like a lot of people like have that like broken mindset. Yeah. Where they're like, oh, I could never do that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So no, that's crazy, bro. I love that.
I feel like in a way, like, because of the trials and tribulations from these last 2 years, and again, the lawsuit was crazy. Like, we were like hours away from potentially losing the business. Hours. Like, people don't realize, like, it was like the night before we were going to trial, they had a settlement offer that we settled on ultimately. This is like at 12 p.m. And Justice called me. He's like, are we taking this? Boom, we're going back and forth. And I was like, yeah, like, fuck it. Like, let's just do what we got to do to get the business rolling. It's like, we've been so close. Like, the gun's been in our head so many times. And that's why I wrote my Instagram caption this year. I was like, if you fucking come for me, aim for the head and pray to God you don't fucking miss. Yes. Because if you do, you're done for. And I'm coming for your head. And it's like, that is the energy I want to carry into every fucking day with you boys. And like, let's go. Like, let's go. Run it up.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah. I love that, bro. I feel like that's a note that like we can conclude on.
Yeah, we can end off that.
What a statement, bro. And for I guess for all those listening, is there anything else you would like to say to our audience, or anything else you want to promote? Because I'm telling you right now, we're gonna have you on like in the future, 100%. You know, just so
I'd love to do like, you know, yearly, you know.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
For sure.
Something like that. Yeah. It just didn't feel like a podcast.
Well, no. Yeah. Even too, as we said, like, we got one in July coming up. It's going to be huge. They don't even know what the fuck's coming up with that one.
Yeah. So. But is there anything else you'd like to, I guess, like, let out to our audience?
I guess I'll try and summarize, I guess, the main points we made. It's like, bet on yourself. You know, if you got stuff to work on, you know, really audit your friend group, audit your personal habits, make sure that's taken care of first. Join communities, join like-minded groups, right? I think that's a big takeaway from what we've been saying, like, get around guys that are like what you're doing, set crazy goals, and prove to yourself by small things like not drinking, not going out, you know, working out daily, that you have the evidence to be the character traits and be the person that accomplishes these things. And then just take massive action. just take massive action towards what you're running for. If anyone wants to join our door-to-door team, I'd love to have you out. Again, it's a very competitive group. We are sharks out there.
How can they join if they want to?
Send me a DM on Instagram, MJ Shell on Instagram. And then if you want to follow my TikTok, I post free sales kind of videos. I'm going to be posting a lot more on my main IG as well. So it's selling service on Instagram, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
And then my main IG is MJ Show. So
Yeah, we'll make sure to plug everything out in the show notes and make sure that people have that access to you. And bro, thank you so much.
You boys are crushing. I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah,
for sure.
Awesome. And for all those who listen, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And another fucking blessed episode for you guys. Peace.